Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And everybody, welcome to the Sunday edition, October 15th of the Razorback Diamond Report. I am your host, Jason Pattyson, and the star of the show, Dudley Dawson. Dudley, man, how you doing?
Doing good. Been writing all day and watching football. That's that's a pretty good day, and then get baseball coming up tonight. So they're worse.
There are. I would like to see the Cowboys kind of turning around from the crap show that they put up last week. That was
absolutely. That's tomorrow night. Interesting. San Francisco came out, had a couple of injuries during the ball game, did not play well, and lost to Cleveland at Cleveland. So it's a week by week league here. So maybe Dallas will surprise us and have a good game on Monday night.
That'd be really, really nice. Well, I'm gonna play something really quick because it's coming right around the corner. First game is November 7th, and I think that we all can appreciate this one. I want to thank Arkansas Razorback Communications for that. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, Coach Neighbors, he's pretty fired up about this upcoming season.
Yeah, as well he should be. And I certainly think that, there's some angst from how last season ended, both with the players and the coaches. And I think that fueled them in the off season. I think it's got them a little bit more focused. As you said, November 7th is their opener. And then November 10th is the screaming game, as I like to call it, the elementary school day. But it starts at 10:30, and those kids scream for an hour and a half. Always fun to go. Wouldn't want to have that every game, but always fun to have that Friday morning game for them. So, and I know the teachers appreciate it as well, getting to go to a game instead of having to stay in the classroom.
Oh my gosh. And then for those kids that are able to a majority of them may not be able to go to, a game, and albeit because of work schedules with parents and timing with the games and so on and so forth. This might be the only chance that these kids get to go to not only a Lady Razorback game, but a Razorback game period in Bud Walton Arena. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, if I was one of those kids, I'd be screaming my head off too, because if that's the only time I get to go, I'm gonna make the most of it.
Yeah, there is never a game, no matter what sport it is, that if you have a ticket and you can't go, it shouldn't be used by somebody else. It doesn't mean you have to sell it. There's a lot of good organizations, charity organizations that would love to go, especially kids. I still get a smile on how you see somebody at their first game, and Arkansas may lose by 15, but they had the greatest time because they've never got to do anything like that. And those of us who've been around forever and done that, it kind of comes on hat. But I really, encourage people who are not going to use the tickets to find a way to put somebody in your seat, especially if it's somebody who doesn't get to do that all the time.
I'm going to extrapolate that to not only basketball but football, because this coming Saturday is opening day for muzzleloader season in the state of Arkansas. So if y'all are out there up in the tree stands listening to Chuck and Quinn and you're not using your tickets, let somebody else that can use those. I mean, you may not be able to sell them, but
and I realize that people may not want to go to what may be a pillow fight between two teams that don't have great records, but it should be pretty competitive. Arkansas has been away for so long; it's an unprecedented stretch that they had here with being on the road. Obviously part of that has to do with Little Rock, part of that has to do with Arkansas, and then the rest of it had to do with the schedule that just fit in. But I mean, it's been forever since we, went to a home game here against BYU, and that really seems like forever.
Well, also with the way the weather is now from what it was a month ago, I mean, really, honestly, against that BYU game, and we were kind of thinking about busting out the light jackets anyway, but it's full on jackets and jean season now.
Yeah, I will not leave this house without a hoodie from now on. It'll at least be in the vehicle.
I don't blame you there. And it's going to be nice to see, also the Razorback football team back in the confines of Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Couldn't get that out there. It's been so long since they've been there. It's been a month. And so it's going to be nice to see the offense kind of see if they're able to, continue what the last half of the Razorback football game against Alabama yesterday, with a little bit more of a spread hurry up, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I know that there are going to be some people who have either given up on the season or it's cool to be negative and all that, and certainly 2-5. There are many reasons to be negative. That's a 11 a.m. game on Saturday morning. If you want to party, you can still go party after it, win or lose. I encourage people to just show up. Because they've not played great, but again, it's been a brutal schedule. I really thought they'd be 3-4 right now. I thought they'd beat BYU, and then I thought they'd lose these other games.
Yeah,
I also thought they'd lose these other games by more than they have. That's been one of the more surprising aspects to me. Certainly, them not being able to be successful on offense has been really big. And you did have a couple of Alabama players running free downfield, but the defense has really come on. I do think that there are some winnable games down the stretch, and you can't do anything about what you've done so far. You can't erase 2-5. You are what your record says you are, and I'm not gonna sit here and go rainbows and and all that stuff. They're gonna have to still really play good to win some games down the stretch, but it certainly would give you the opinion that they have not quit on the head coach the way they have been playing. And, maybe they'll get it together. There's nobody over there wanting to lose, which seems to be a theory tossed around on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now.
Yeah,
I basically just say they've sucked, but they hadn't want to suck.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the best suck teams that you got out there right now. I hate to say it that way, but Yeah, I mean they've minimalized the suck. They have minimalized the suck. I think that's also attributed to some senior leadership on the defensive side of the football too, not letting go of the rope, making sure that everybody's accountable, and and keep trying to increase and step their play up. And you had a lot of guys that were out yesterday. You saw Jalen Braxton, Newton McLaughlin came back out again, Cam Ball, Poop Hall. I'm not trying to rhyme, and I'm not a poet, and yes, I do know it, but you had those guys step out, you had other guys step in, and there was really, honestly, not that big of a drop off at all.
Yeah. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, Hudson Clark obviously is a defensive back for Arkansas, plays safety now. I think he's gotten a lot of criticism over his time here, but just want to let him know, and Imogene, his girlfriend, who happens to be Mary Lou Retton's daughter, who's a gymnast here at the University of Arkansas. I want to wish both of them, well, I understand that Mary Lou's doing a lot better. That I was growing up in the '80s when she was obviously, at her peak, and so you hate to hear that she's going through that, but you're glad to hear it's getting better. But I know that's probably been weighing on both Hudson and his girlfriend, her daughter.
Yeah, I was very encouraged to hear the progress that she's made over the last 36 hours too, from ICU being on an event, now starting to transition back into a more stable state of health. And I'm so glad to hear that. My wife, she was a gymnast for years. She went from 5 all the way up through 18. And that was one of those people that she just looked up to. And we've kind of kept a little bit of an eye on that too. So I'm glad to hear that she's starting to make the turn the right direction in that area. So back to Lady Razorback basketball for just a minute. I know that Mike Neighbors is going to be probably speaking. I think does he have a press conference coming up here pretty soon as far as
I think it's a week away, and he'll probably give us an update on obviously how practice is going, and when they get. I have not seen a date yet for a red-white game or something similar to that. So right now we're going on the premise that November 7th is the first time we'll see him on the floor. But I'm sure he'll have press conferences between now and then. And again, the end of the season is fueling them toward this season. It's a very important season for him, very important season for the program. They certainly have talent, littered through that program now. More versatility, I think. Getting off to a 13-0, 14-0 start was great last year, but, I think there were some deficiencies that they found as they went along. Of course, you're playing a great, in a great conference, so that is the thing too. But hopefully they'll be able to rebound the ball better this year. And it's going to be, not necessarily having more people in the lane that can get rebounds, but you have length all over the floor, which should help you out.
Yeah, and honestly, this team is going to go where Michaela Daniels and Sailor Poffenberger lead them, really. And with those two kind of leading the charge for the Lady Razorbacks, I mean, is there another player that we haven't really heard about that might be able to step into that role of, oh, wow, they're really picking up some of the slack that they're not, those two are not able to, handle all on their own, that can help lift this team possibly back into the top 25?
Well, I think Miriam Dowd is going to have her best season. Obviously she's been hurt and been limited up to this. I think she's, Coach Neighbors brought her in for the pre-season press conference, which, is kind of an honorarium thing on who you think is going to be really good. Obviously tomorrow, Spencer has some great, we look at Jenna Lawrence is a young lady from Farmington who, certainly gave them a lot of spark went overseas. So you look at that. Jersey Wolfenbarger also. But, if I was going to pick somebody out that we know of, but that, has had to transition a little bit, it'd be the young girl from Fayetteville here who took a year off last year, and it looks like he's come back in better situation to be a player, and it's going to be somebody I think that will, be able to play inside out, just be a tremendous matchup problem for, all over the place. And I think that was just a big addition in getting back to go with the recruits that they had.
Yep. And that is a real big thing, having Sasha Goforth come back. It looks as though she has not maybe gotten past the gastroenteritis, but it's got to a point where it's allowed her to play again, and that's a huge addition for Mike and for the depth on this team too.
Yeah, and one of the big reasons that he didn't feel the need to go out to the portal, obviously he had a couple of girls come back that he wasn't for sure were coming back. That was a big get. It's kind of like having an extra scholarship per se. There, you may have 15 scholarships in women's basketball, but you don't necessarily have 15 players that are impact players. And I think you were able to keep one and bring another back and get some depth in here. And you did that all without having to go to the portal, which is, as we know, can be greatly beneficial, or it can be something that's just kind of hit and miss.
Yep. Also want to thank our sponsor really quick, Coy Southern Eats. You can find all of their great products in Northwest Arkansas and Central Arkansas select grocery stores. You can find their products on KoiSouthernEats.com and on Amazon. Go rediscover the nostalgia of Koi's Southern Eats. Come get you some. They're going to be opening up a new steakhouse in Hot Springs here in the near future too. So that's something for y'all to take a look at if you guys are heading down to the racetracks. So Courtney Deifel and the Razorback team, softball team, they had Razorbacks Unlimited, and the very first trophy that went out to the highest points player, I think it was Kylie Halverson. She got kind of a cool chain necklace and a trophy, and kind of got to be introduced to in front of everybody as the winner.
Yeah, I got a chance to go out and watch them scrimmage the other night, and I'm continued to just be amazed at the amount of hitters they're going to have in that lineup. There is not a single spot that you're going to be able to relax. It may be Reagan Johnson speed at the top, and she's hitting the ball a bunch better. Nia Long, who again we talked Carter, who was the Big Ten hits leader and number 2 in the country. She's got a lot of table setters up there, and then you go through a lineup that has had 18 home runs. 4 of them have had at least 18 home runs. Got to see Bree Ellis hit another home run the other night, and it was a matter of it was definitely going out. It was just a matter of how far it was going out. And you've got others that, the freshmen have looked really good in their opportunities to play. Spencer Prigge has really, impressed me as well. And I've been, I think, maybe more impressed with the defense than maybe I thought I would be. They have people in positions this year that where I think they have depth at each of those positions. Now, you have a clear delineation for the most part. I don't think of who's going to be your starters, especially in the outfield. And, for certain spots around the infield. But it's a really good thing that they have these DPs and are able to, to get people in the lineup with bats, a designated hitter in baseball, DP and softball. And you're able to fit a lineup in there by getting as many hitters as you can in there while still having, a very solid defense.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun to watch them. You want to see where, the freshman pitchers, Kamendzid, Heron, and then McGaffin can kind of fill in and see where that goes. Callie Turner's coming back again. It's going to be really interesting to see what she's able to do. Also, Coach Deifel picked up a pretty stinking solid commit over the last couple of days. A junior pitcher, top 8, if I'm not correct. Is that right?
Yeah, from Wisconsin. And somebody who you start looking at it, and if you're striking out 186 batters in 86 innings and have an ERA where you have to go 0.3 letters, 3 numbers, it was 0.1999. Just phenomenal. One, they've also got a couple more in the hopper, I think, that'll be announced soon, that they're having a really good class, both in 24, 20, and 25. So the future is not only, the present's not only really good, but the future is going to be right as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be before too long. You're going to be turning around, and they're going to be knocking the snow off the grass in the outfield, and February is going to be rolling around, and they're going to be ready to get right back at it again. So it's going to be it's going to be really fun to see what this team is able to do right from the get go too.
Yeah, and as we talked to her, they're going to be away for the first couple of weeks, then be home and have I think she said 4 tournaments in a row, something like that, or 4 weekends in a row where they'll be playing. So you're going to get a chance for them to go on the road and get some experience, much like the Eastern teams doing during basketball, or Northeastern teams, and get some action in and then come home when the weather's a little bit better. And everybody will get to see, if you hadn't been out to the scrimmages, not sure why you wouldn't have if you're a softball fan, but if you hadn't been out to them, you'll see the loaded lineup and just what she's putting together. Our photographer, John James, mentioned the other day, this is a national championship team under construction. As long as Oklahoma's over there and some other teams, you're going to have to fight the way through it. But it is certainly, you're building. It is no longer the program that I remember won 6 games in 1 year here when they first get going. She certainly has changed that around.
So keeping it on the diamond, starting tomorrow will be the Fall World Series over at Baum-Walker Stadium. Coach Dave Van Horn and his staff has got that ready to roll. And first pitch tomorrow is at 2:30. Is it 12 o'clock?
Noon.
12 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to do it on noon, Monday and Tuesday. I'm a big fan of that. I know some of the fans may not be, because they might not be able to get out there. I don't know what they're going to do if they do have an if necessary game on Thursday. Maybe they they'll play that one a little bit later. But especially as the weather's getting cooler, I think it's better to go get this over with, and looking forward to seeing how these guys play a couple to 3 more times. Been very impressed with the portal guys they brought in. I've been on this show here talking in the last few weeks about the plethora of pitching that they have, left-handed, right-handed, fastballs, junk stuff, coming at you from different arm angles. I know when the pitching started to break down last year, and it truly was breaking down because of the injuries. Yeah. People were, apt to criticize Coach Van Horn because he said, maybe the best pitching staff he's ever had. And, in terms of depth and stuff like that, when people got hurt, But I'm telling you, there are plenty of people that, who go watch these games with me that have, are excited about the year. And there's the potential for a dog pile in Omaha. We'll see if they get there, but there's certainly the potential for it. And that's how you want to end up, as a dog pile.
Always is. Is there, like you brought up just a little bit, just a minute ago, actually, about the injuries with the pitchers. Does Dave and his staff look and see what they did maybe differently last year versus what they might do differently on that stretch between fall ball and spring ball?
We've asked them questions about that, and they call it sports medicine, might as well be sports science now. It is far more different than when I was involved with the Razorback basketball program, and people get injuries and they would go to Dave England and Dean Weber and do things. They have so many different more machines, so many different analytical things now that they're able to tell how. I think there was one athlete over there, and I'm trying to remember who it was, who went. They thought he was going to be okay, and he went, and it was a tear, and so he no longer was going to be able to pitch or run or whatever. I can't even remember the sport right now, but it's so different now, and you do the different things, you take care of yourself. But I'll go back to what I've said many times, and that I think whether it be football, baseball, basketball, softball, whatever sport, stressful innings or stressful situations when you're young, playing so much travel ball, putting yourself in situations to where you have one great kid that's a pitcher and you let him throw 50 million innings, early on. That's where you're going to end up getting hurt at this point in the career. Now, from what you did back then, I think it's I've always been a proponent of playing multiple sports and making sure you're, for lack of a better way, spreading around the stress on the different parts of your body. And, I know that if I threw 100 pitches a week, my elbow would be hanging, even lower than it is now. And I think that, that's one of the things that really parents have to grab a hold of coaches and others and all that, and make sure you're doing the right things in terms of these kids coming up, because it ends up causing them problems once they get to the universities.
Yeah, one of the things that I actually got a chance to talk to Hunter Holland's mom during the end of last season for a little bit. And one of the things that she brought up was not only the amount of innings and pitches that these young kids are throwing at, lower levels, younger ages, is that it's also incorporating a curveball or a slider where you have that different snap on the arm where it's not fully developed yet. I remember I got a chance to go to some baseball camps back in the day. One of the things that John Lickey always stressed was and was a former pitching coach for Norm DeBryan, was if your pitching coach or your baseball coach is having you throw a curveball or a slider, something that breaks before the age of 18, you tell them you don't want to do it, because he said your body is still growing up until that point. And I mentioned that to her, and she said that was the same approach that they kind of took with Hunter, is that they didn't want him throwing those curveballs, those breaking balls at such a young age either, because that's really putting him behind the 8 ball whenever he's 18, 19, 20 years old, where there's already stress on those areas of the elbow that never got to fully develop in the first place.
Yeah, we can talk about science, we can talk about analytics, but that's just common sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the numbers. I know that a kid trying to throw a curveball very early on will get another kid out, but you also might hit that kid because you don't have the control that you want to. But yeah, I mean, we're not breaking anything here, So news and all that. That's just how it should happen.
And that's one of the things too that I know that, and I think you might agree with me on this, is that this coaching staff at Arkansas really stresses too, is making sure that these guys are not wearing their arms out when they get to campus, so that way that they can have not only a great college career, but a great professional career if that's what happens. There's not going to be a lot of guys that are going to go on to play in the majors, maybe more so at Arkansas than other schools, just by the level of talent that Dave has coming through. But
I'm not going to say that he's been overused or they haven't overused, or get close to overusing, kids while they've been here. But what I will say is that they take their oath to win baseball games, certainly seriously, but they also, and I've seen this many times, made sure that they don't push a kid too far, because they know you can let a kid come here and screw up his arm, he'll get out.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that the recruits have always told me, that he seems like this coaching staff seems like they care about you more as a person than they does a player. Now that's a nice cliche and something you can throw out there. I believe it's in most cases the right sentiment. They're good dudes. They win, and you find it funny when do you think they'll do something different this year? They're continuously, sports science, sports medicine is continually trying to figure out what's best. And certainly when you have a program, the likes of Arkansas, Vanderbilt, LSU, you others, you're not standing pat. You're working every day to find out as much as you can on the science and injury part of it.
That's what's also really encouraging with this staff too, is that they're not just set on saying, okay, what we're doing is working, we're just going to stay with this. They're always continuing to try to find out, like you said, the best ways to make sure that these guys are their peak performance ability, also making sure that they're protecting them from injury. And that's one of the things that Hunter's mom had said, was that the staff here cares about Hunter, like you said, as a person, but also as an athlete. And that's where they saw the huge difference from the transition from his last school to this school before he announced. And so that's what she was so encouraged about.
He was fortunate he had Woody Williams, a veteran pitcher who pitched for St. Louis and many other teams. His pitching coach was at San Jacinto. Woody's son also played at that community college, so I think that was great for him. But that's one of the things they do here in the fall. When the pitchers first started pitching, they pitched one inning and they got them out. If they threw too many pitches in an inning, in the end, they got them up to 3 innings. By the time they got around to this week, so they're not. There's no reason to be ready to pitch 7 innings in December. So.
Exactly. So, quick programming note tonight: you're get a chance to see maybe a little bit of Ryan Stanek, former Razorback, pitching for the Astros. They take on the Texas Rangers. First pitch tonight is at 7:15 on Fox. Be sure to tune in to that one. And then tomorrow night, you got the Phillies and the D-backs set to take on each other in the NLCS. So you got playoff baseball, and it just feels really good this time of the year.
Yeah, there was a point last week where I had a hockey game on, a baseball game, a football game, and a soccer game all going on 4 TVs that I had in the living room. That was pretty cool. It means I have a loving and understanding wife too. So
it does. It really does. Johnny Jones put on here too. He said Austin Reeves also plays tonight, so Otis is fighting Lakers will be going after. We'll see if Austin's a full go or if he's just a DMP CD. Have to see how that goes. So
WTH.
Yep. So, all right. Yeah. Well, for Dudley Dawson, myself, Jason Pattyson, we're going to get you out of here and catch us next week, 4:30 for the Razorback Diamond Report. If we have any updates and stuff, we'll bring those to you, and we'll talk to you next week. Dudley, thank you. Take care.
Yeah.